Welcome to Talent Experience Live, your weekly look at all of the hot topics in HR.
People are 28% more productive when they use vacation time.
Involving themselves very deeply in diversity and inclusion efforts.
Ramping up college recruiting and career fairs.
Artificial intelligence helps automate certain tasks.
50% more applications. How do you make your company culture still stand out?
What does that look like in this new virtual world?
Welcome everyone to another episode of Talent Experience Live, your weekly look at all of the hot topics in HR, interviews with leaders in the industry, as well as our favorite hot new HR technology, covering everything you need to know in recruitment, talent acquisition, talent management. And as always, be sure to follow Phenom to keep up with all of our content. We're coming to you live right now from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we are excited to be here. What makes live so special, of course, is always the comment section, so feel free to sound off there. Any questions, comments, even what you're doing over the holiday weekend. I'd love to hear it. I know Natalie would like some ideas as well, so definitely feel free to drop those in. I am, of course, joined by my lovely co-host, Natalie McKnight. Natalie, how are you?
Good, Devin. Happy Thursday.
Yes, Thursday, and I'm excited because I have off tomorrow, so it's my Friday today, which is exciting stuff. Any fun plans for the weekend?
I am doing absolutely nothing, which I am thrilled about. I've been way too busy lately, and I just need some time to veg out on my couch, so I'm very excited about that.
That sounds fantastic. Now, Natalie, I know we have an exciting topic today. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite topics, especially because I work on a customer-facing team, and we are all about creating success for our customers. So today we're going to be talking to Unisys about cultivating champions for change. And according to a recent SHRM article, the economic uncertainty of the coronavirus pandemic hasn't really stopped organizations from spending on HR technology, which is a great sign. And while some companies hit pause on such investments, others have viewed the pandemic as a time to create a new process for efficiency, to boost productivity by updating old systems or implementing new tools with an eye toward a post-COVID-19 future, right? So, this new world that we're living in and this reliance on technology isn't lost on a lot of organizations. And despite these continuing investments, HR continues to struggle with a nagging problem, which is getting users to adopt a newly implemented system and make it a part of their daily work routines.
100%, Natalie. I love hearing, well, I don't necessarily love it, but I always hear plug and play, right? You think that adding new technology is just something simple. You hit the start button and it goes off and running, but there's so much that goes on in the back end. And like you mentioned, we've kind of been thrown into this situation of change management. I mean, we talked about it last week, how everyone anticipated things to change overnight, but it really all happened over the course of a weekend. And HR professionals got a chance to look at their current processes and really change them, whether it be onboarding, talent acquisition, or anything in between, as far as companies moving throughout the organization. But today we have a very special guest. We have Anisha from Unisys, Anisha Patel, and we want to talk to her about going through a successful implementation and adoption with HR technology, because a lot of times that's easier said than done. It's not as simple as plug and play, no matter how many salespeople tell you that. There is a lot to go into that. So with that, we will bring on Anisha Patel, who is Senior Director of Global Talent Acquisition at Unisys. Anisha, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So Anisha, tell us about your background and how you got into HR.
Well, I think we have all heard this, right? Nobody really goes to school for recruiting or talent acquisition. I went to school to be a scientist. Science was my passion. I solved experiments, always solving problems. That's what I did in terms of my academic career. But I quickly realized that I did not want to be a lab rat once I was in the lab. And so I started my career working for an agency, a staffing firm, placing scientists and such in the industry. And I became really good at it. I loved it. I've never looked back since. The problem that I'm constantly solving is attracting great talent. And that keeps me going and motivated all day long. So I love what I do. And I'm glad to be part of the HR team at Unisys.
100%. Anisha, I come from a staffing background as well. And the one thing that was always super stressful for me was it was like a hamster wheel, to use your lab rat analogy, where it's like, okay, you fill a position, now there's 6 more positions to fill right after that. And it can make your head go a little bit crazy from time to time. I'm not going to say that's why my hair is going crazy right now, but it certainly has an impact on some of the grays that I'm starting to get. Now, I know that Unisys just invested in some new HR technology. What was the process behind that? What did you say, hey, this is a problem we need to solve, and what made you venture into that?
Yeah, so we're an IT technology we're an IT services technology company, and talent, as with many organizations on the call today, is so critical. We want to acquire the best of the best, and why? Because we want to drive better outcomes for the clients that we serve at Unisys. And so I'm constantly looking to find great talent. My teams are doing the same thing. Our leaders, my colleagues, all day long are trying to find great talent. But I think that, in my total years of experience in this area, one thing that I've learned is that you have to change. As the marketplace changes, you have to change. Your processes have to change. Your branding has to be updated. And so, we started on the path of Phenom well before implementation. We went live this year, but my relationship with Phenom goes back 2 years ago. I call myself the Phenom ambassador because I love what the technology brings to us. I believe in the technology, and it creates better candidate experiences for the candidates we're trying to attract. So the first thing we did was develop our employer brand, right? Companies need to have what it's like to work for Unisys. Tell me what it's like to work for it. Tell me in layman words, no big jargon, right? Just genuinely through associate stories, through successes. What is it like to work for a company like Unisys? And we found that. So we launched our branding. And soon after that, we started our relationship with Phenom because it provides the connection of our brand with the technology to attract talent, whether it's passive talent or it's active talent. And then furthermore, it allows us to communicate through personalized messages, right? Our candidates are having personalized experiences on our career sites, and they're also having personalized communication catered to their interest through the Phenom platform.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, talking about all of those challenges and things like that, we want to talk about, of course, the success in implementing and adopting a new system. But before we really get into that, what are some of the things that you've seen that sometimes, if you're not prepared for, can maybe go wrong throughout the process?
Well, what goes wrong when you hide yourself under the table and all you want to do is cry and not come out. But that's not the experience that we had at Unisys with implementing Phenom. The things that can go wrong, I've done other implementations. It's number one, selecting the right partner. Number two, it's having the right program manager or project manager that listens to you, that understands you as a company, your challenges and your processes. And then throughout the implementation, that partner really does help you solve some of the challenges that you're going to come across. Because I think, Devin, you said it earlier, an implementation isn't like you come in and it's on and everything's working great. It's not like that. You have to really work well together, listen to one another, see what the solutions are, and then select the best solution that comes your way, and hope for the best. And so far, everything's been really, really fantastic.
100%. It's funny that you mentioned just turning things on and letting it run smoothly. I think we've all run into quite a few internet problems over the past few months at home, and we've wanted to throw something through a wall. So that plug and play doesn't even work when we're trying to watch Netflix sometimes. But moving on, you mentioned a lot of things around the idea of it being a fortuitous relationship, right? And I think that a relationship with your HR technology providers is a lot like a relationship that you have in your personal life, right? It requires that communication. It requires understanding needs and helping you achieve that. So that's certainly something that I am going to take away from this. And then you mentioned that there have been some horror stories. And as we know, a lot can go wrong with these sorts of things. There is a lot of stuff working on the back end. But since your team ended up having so much success adopting HR technology, let's dive into some best practices and what you can share to other HR leaders today, So how did you handle multiple teams getting on board from the get-go?
So it starts first with executive buy-in. Before we started our path of implementation and setting up our internal teams for a successful implementation, the first was buy-in. I remember doing many, many demos with the Phenom team and our executive leadership team around the product's capability, how it can solve problems in attracting talent for us, how it can help increase the talent at the top of the funnel for us, and engage them in those conversations, right? This is the challenge that we're having today. Here's what the Phenom platform can present to us and what it can do for us. So we had several sessions with executives, starting from HR leadership team to business leadership team, and then we had demos with our global talent acquisition team around here's what the product can do. Let us know your questions. Let us know any concerns that you have, and went on, right, until I think we probably did maybe, 10 different demos. We tired out the Phenom team for sure in the many demos that were done, but it helped us make a decision after those demos, right? What do we want to start with? Do we want to do the whole talent experience? Do we want to just look at candidate experience or employee experience? How did the analytics fit in? So it really helped everybody that was going to be using the system or seeing its capability understand what it's going to solve for us and what it's going to do for us. And once that buy-in was there, it was much easier to get interest, right? So this is the second piece. When we talk about change management, and we started to look at implementation and what that project plan looks like from an implementation standpoint, it was, all right, well, we need a project team. What is that project team going to look like? You need to have all the right resources. We had HR operations, we had IT, we had global talent acquisition champions. And these were champions that were represented from different parts of the world that had expressed interest. Because when you do the demos and you get the engagement and communicate, you're going to have interest. And so we had interest from a great many talent champions within our organization, interest from IT, and it just really fit well in terms of the key constituents and stakeholders of the project team. We started the project, and then, it's not over, right? When you start the project, internally, the other piece is ongoing communication. So you got to keep that engagement alive. We did so much work to get the buy-in. Now we have to give updates. Where are we in the process? Are we going to meet our timelines? Is there hiccups or challenges coming along the way? What are things we need to look for that may come to us as a major challenge? Who do we need to work with? And we're not all in this alone. I have to say that throughout this entire phase, from demo to selection of the project team to updates and communication on a monthly basis, we had our project manager from Phenom with us every step of the way. So we had 2 project managers, one on the technology side and one on the change management training side of things. And we met twice a week. So availability and ongoing communication, any way you like that communication is available to you. I like to talk, as most recruiters do. So we were always on phone calls with updates and working and solving solutions on a bi-weekly basis. And it was fantastic.
That's so great to hear. And I think, another thing that I think about and that we do with our customers on the customer success side is try to understand or help people understand what to expect. And that from the very beginning, things are going to go wrong, but it's okay. We're going to handle them. And it's like, I'm sure your customer success manager probably showed you that change management slide where it shows the dip where everybody all of a sudden gets frustrated and they're all like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like, just keep going through and we're going to get there. That's right. It's really good to hear. And yes, communication is so important.
And every implementation, you mentioned, Natalie, frustration. I think everybody has frustration. It's human nature, right? We all work on a big implementation that's going to have such great impact. But yeah, we're going to experience frustration with our colleagues, frustration with our, customer service. Why can't we fix this? Or, what other, but it's communicating and it's understanding and it's listening. And that's when you can overcome that frustration and come up with a great solution. And we really, really had an awesome team to make that work for us.
Yeah. That's awesome. So just a reminder that we are live. We've got a comment that popped up. It looks like maybe a colleague of yours, Anisha, which is awesome. So if you do have any comments or questions for us as we're going through this conversation, please do not hesitate to sound off in the comments from wherever you are. That's part of what makes this session so awesome is the ability to contribute and ask questions. So it does look like we've got a question from Sean. It says, what advice do you have, Anisha, for TAs that aren't decision makers to expose TXM as a tool to their managers they should consider?
Demos. Hook them with a demo. I would say, first, identify what challenge they have, what feedback they've given to you around how challenging it's been to attract a specific type of skill set, or solve for a location, or it's we don't have enough candidates in our pipeline. Those are all challenges we as TA leaders and recruiters have heard from many of our managers, throughout all the recs that we're constantly recruiting for. So, solve that problem through the demo, reference that problem, and then ensure that you have a solution where the platform is solving for that. And I think that you will hook them on very quickly by doing that.
Yeah, awesome. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you partner with vendors to really ensure that true partnership and kind of what that process is as well.
Well, I mean, it's all about communication. I think it's being open and honest with your vendor around here's where we are in our journey of evolution. Here's the problem I'm trying to solve. And if the vendor is not able to solve that problem, or you're not excited and you don't see the solution, then it's not the right vendor, right? But if the vendor is able to prove to you that, yeah, this is something that can work, if they can provide references, if, I remember early on in our Phenom journey, prior to implementation, we had talked about all the different modules, employee experience, candidate experience, recruiter experience, and such. And one of the issues that we were trying to solve for, is skills gap, right? So and I know many companies also experience the same. We have so many skills in the organization. The technology is going here in the future. How do we solve for the gap, and how do we know where that gap is within our employee population? So even if your problems you're trying to solve are broader and strategic, and it may not be all, But getting the expert advice from the vendor and their perspective, because they've worked with many clients, is important, right? And having an open mind to any of the vendors that you speak with and posing the issues that you're having and being honest with them is certainly going to expand your knowledge and give you some best practices on what you can do to help your company.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So we've got a couple of other comments here. Devin, you want to take a stab at a couple of these?
Yeah, I was gonna jump to this one from Darren. It was, speaking of demos, did you use your own Unisys data? Oftentimes demos include already baked in data. So were you able to see real insights from that?
So, we saw several different demos. We had Phenom come in and share the full talent experience demo early on. And then as we started to have further discussions with our executive leadership team, their interest on candidate experience and recruiter experience, and then employee experience. So we had different types of demos because that gave us the opportunity to dive deep into the data, right? The data that Unisys has and the data that Phenom can offer. Did Phenom utilize our data? Not necessarily, because the product has to be integrated within our technology, right? And at that stage, we were not at a place where our data spoke with Phenom's data and it made it specific for Unisys. But they did, they're able to share with us what the industry standard is and what the product is able to do and what it's not able to do, again, in a true partner, in a true vendor. They also are able to share with us the roadmap, right? Where is Phenom going next? What's the evolution of Phenom? So it gives you an idea that the innovation of the Phenom platform doesn't stop with what you're purchasing. It's an ongoing evolution of a product that you as a client are going to benefit from beyond implementation and year 1, year 2, year 3, and so on. So when you're choosing a vendor, you also have to look at that, right? Is the company investing in the product? Is the company taking your feedback and other clients' feedback and developing a product that's going to be useful for their clients? And Phenom absolutely does that.
And then one more comment, Sean had a follow-up, which was, how can they ensure that a demo is worth the time of the person on who they're sending it out to? So I guess the question is, as I completely messed it up there, so bear with me. That's why this is live and the beauty of that. But when it comes to getting bombarded with technology and all of this stuff, how do you know what's worth your time? I guess is the question that I have.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the conversations you need to have prior to the demo, right? And that is having a relationship with your business leader, having a seat at the table to show them, here's where the issues are. I can help you. And you can talk about you could share all the data that you have. You can share all the solutions that you have, and it can be multiple solutions. Phenom can be one of them, and you could have other vendors or other ways of solving the problem. But I think it's really helping them understand what's in it for them. Also from a change management standpoint, right? Everybody has to change by understanding what are they going to get out of it, and being able to tell that story of, here's what's in it for you. You're going to get better talent. You're going to get passive talent, which today we're not able to, right? So for us, for Unisys, it was we're going out to find talent. We're constantly going out to find talent. We want talent also to come to us. We want our recruiters to be able to get notified of talent that meets the criteria of the job that they're looking for as quickly as possible, rather than sourcing. We know our recruiters spend we have full cycle recruiters. So for us, our recruiters are not only sourcing, but they're managing the manager, right? Building those client relationships, understanding the business, and then trying to deal with the logistics, the administration logistics of scheduling and follow-up meetings. So how much time do they really have to go out there and find talent? So I think it's when you're talking to a business leader or you're talking to an HR leader, it's saying, here's how we're going to go attack the problem of attracting the best talent for our company. We know it's difficult to find talent. We need to increase recruiter efficiencies. We need to get to the talent that we're looking for today by connecting with them, not only in terms of a skills match, but also from a company cultural match. So, and how are we going to do that? Well, today's talent is looking for personalized experiences. Today's talent is researching researching companies before they actually apply. So goes the days of finding a job on a job board and applying to it and then waiting and sitting, right? Today's talent is being more creative in saying, okay, you know what? I want to go work for a company with purpose. So let me go find that company. I want a job that's going to feed my passion, where I'm going to learn and grow. What company is going to give that? And so how, as a company, do you solve for that challenge to tell about your special organization? How do you tell that? You tell it through a career site that Phenom is building for you. You tell it to a career site through personalized experiences catered to the specific candidate that you're looking for. And I think if you share some of those ideas around where the marketplace is and what you're going to do to attract that talent, based on the different types of candidates you're trying to attract, right? Multi-generational, different levels of experience, different locality, if it's different geographies. This is what it's going to take to attract talent today. Then it's going to be much easier to say, let me show you something that is going to help us gain some efficiencies, help us find talent, help that talent come to us and be able to communicate with them before they even become an applicant. Because that's the goal. It's to get those passive candidates that have touched your website and left. They haven't applied. But our recruiters now have the ability to see that. They're able to see what job category the individual touched, how many times they touched that job category. What job did they view? How many jobs did they view? They may not have applied, but we're able to get some intelligence that we've never had before. And that allows us to then create unique communication tools that engages that specific person or group of people to get them to apply.
Would you like a sales job at Phenom People?
No, I call myself the Phenom ambassador.
I want to purchase TXM and I work for Phenom. That was amazing. I totally agree with everything that you're saying, and I think it's so important to that internal buy-in, right? To kind of go in and to understand exactly what you're leveraging and what you're taking advantage of by moving forward with a piece of technology like this. So something else you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation was around, designating champions. So I'd love to understand a little bit more about what that process was like for you, kind of how you identified them, and then how you brought them into the process during implementation and configuration.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I didn't do it all by myself. I had a project team, and I did have a change champion on the team that really helped in ensuring that change was accepted within the organization and that they were going to embrace the new technology that really was going to be a game changer for us. We started with the demos, right? As I mentioned, getting everybody excited and engaged around what Phenom is going to do for us and how a recruiter's life is going to be much easier to find that passive talent or to find those active applicants and be able to communicate with them through our employer branding. And so we went around, right, with our TA leaders globally, asking if there were any individuals that were particularly interested in the Phenom platform, and recruiters raised hands. And who better to be a change champion than the individual actually using the tool? Who better to help you create and configure the technology and the platform to your specific needs and your processes than the recruiters that are actually using the platform? So they came on much early on in the process, and they helped with designing the platform. They helped selecting notes and tags and, what types of messages we want in the system. And that makes them feel a part of designing and understanding the tool. They themselves also became the subject matter experts because when we implemented or as we went through our project timeline and we got close to implementation of going live, we also had our TA champions be the trainers. So our change champion helped develop decks for them to get them ready to present the data. And then so they presented and trained the recruiters within their region. And then we sat in on those sessions for backup support and Q&A in case they got stuck. And so it was a good 6 to 8 week training session, right, where our TA champions not only had training around this week we're going to focus on this piece of the training. And these are the specific courses that we want you to take this week. So it sort of further enhanced their learning. So it was not only just a PowerPoint presentation, but it was also live on the demo staging site around how the functionality works. All our recruiters had access to that demo site. So as they were learning, they were playing with the system. And then, prior to that, they had the courses that they had to take for the session that we were covering that week. So that's the key piece of learning and change management. People learn in different ways. They learn through reading, they learn through watching, they learn through presentation, and we have to accommodate all different types of vehicles when it comes to learning. And our change champions did really a fine job in doing that.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned a lot of processes that went into play and activities for your team to take part in. How did you make that mandatory? How did you get that buy-in from your team? And Jonathan had a great question. When did that come into the process? Because obviously you want to have your team up and running once the technology is rolled out. Would you say it was 2 weeks before, a month before? When did that start, and what did that process look like?
So when we started Phenom and we announced that we are going to move forward with the Phenom platform and looking for change champions within the region, one of the key things that we said was that all recruiters within our global talent acquisition team were going to be Phenom certified. And so that actually significantly helped, right? And I think we see this with technology. I know in prior implementations that I've had experience with, if their certifications are not available, the adoption rate of using the tool, you have some that are technically savvy and will adopt it and interested, and then there are others that may not and just touch the system here and there. But we made a recruiter certification mandatory as part of the entire global talent acquisition system. So that helped in making sure that all individuals, our change champions, were the first to get certified before they started their train the trainer sessions. And then as we started the train the trainer sessions, our recruiters were getting certified, right, through the courses that they were taking weekly. So we made it easier for them. They didn't have to sit there, and complete each module after module of learning, but it was in steps. And those steps, the training steps, actually began while we were still not live. So they started, I want to say 3 to 4 weeks prior to go live. Around here's what to look for, right? Here's what the training is going to be from A to Z. And then next week, we're going to cover this module or this piece of the training. And here's the courses we want you to take. You're going to spend 2-3 hours of course time. And then at the end of the week, we're going to have a learning session on the demo site or the staging site, so you can actually see what you've learned and how it works out when you're actually using it in the staging site itself.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's a really good best practice in terms of, ensuring that users are familiar with the platform before they actually get in there. It just helps to have that scaffolded knowledge that builds on itself, and giving that opportunity to kind of use the platform as they're learning too is really great. Yeah. So I would love to understand too, once the launch happened, what type of communication happened out, to the company? Was there a company-wide announcement, or was it, just internally in your own departments? Talk us through that a little bit.
So live was a great experience. I think the best was Phenom did a great job in creating a hype video for us. So who better, right? When you have technology working for you, and it was an amazing video. And Phenom did a really great job of get ready, get set, launch type of video with what the platform can bring to us with our own personalization, right? Around Unisys, with our Unisys branding. It was a very short video, so nothing too long. Maybe 60 seconds, 60 seconds or so. But that built so much excitement because there's music in the background, and then you see this animation happening, and you see how it all connects. So we did a hype video that was posted on our internal intranet site. That is our intranet site for all associates globally. We had a blog. We had a message from our chief HR officer talking about the technology and what that technology is going to do for us in terms of attracting talent. And that communication went out globally to managers, to executive leadership team, to associates. And people were excited about it. So it was a big day for us. And when we went live, the other is, our recruiters are excited to use it and see what the system is going to do for us. So they went through the training, they saw this hype video, there's the communication, there's a tile on our intranet site, and we kept that going for 2 weeks. So it was the first communication was the big launch on the blog of what's coming your way, and then the next communication was a week out, which was around our communication from our chief HR officer, and then we kept it going for I believe another week as well, just to keep it alive and keep engagement amongst our associates and our managers as well as our recruiters internally.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like overall the feedback was great, and it had to deal with all of the preparation that went into it, and then sending out that 60-second video to really get people excited. But my next question is, how has working remotely impacted implementation? I know we have our own struggles, on our day-to-day lives, but then throw in an implementation and all of this technology. What did that look like, and were there additional challenges applied to that?
Well, Phenom had a desk available for me at the Ambler office when we started this whole thing. And COVID happened, so we were not able to do many things in person as an implementation partner typically does. So unfortunately, Unisys did not benefit from the in-person connection, but it was seamless. It was without a beat. Technology is fantastic, right? We have Zoom, we have Microsoft Teams, there was phone calls, and there was constant updates, and it's seamless. It's like we are on right now, right? It feels like I'm sitting in a conference room with all of you. But we don't miss a beat. I think when you love what you do and you believe in a product, and you have such a great partner, it really is natural. It doesn't, you don't need to be in person. But I have to say, when this COVID is over, I have to meet the Phenom team in person for sure.
I want to hug you. I don't know you. I want to hug you.
I saw Sean drop a message in the chat that said you need to have a conversation with every single one of the SDRs. So you are more than welcome to come to the Phenom office and chat with us whenever you want.
When I do that, I can still do that. I'll be safe, I promise.
Absolutely.
But I think many companies also probably, and I know, with some of the roundtables and TA leaders that I connect with, outside of Phenom platform, I think everyone typically, human nature, when you just work hard. So we forget to eat lunch. We work till 6 or 7 sometimes at night, not realizing that time has escaped. I do miss the water cooler conversations and not seeing my colleagues, but we're at an age where there's technology available to us, and we embrace it and we do the best that we can to move on and work through what's available to us.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what are your plans for long-term adoption? We're talked about implementation and kind of getting everybody excited and ramped up and all of that knowledge together. So, long-term, kind of what are your goals for adoption of the platform?
I think it's keeping it alive, right? I learned on much earlier in the process when we were developing Unisys employer brand itself. You have to keep it relevant and you have to keep it alive. If you don't keep it relevant to your TA teams and the users, it's going to die. And so Phenom does a really great job of providing so many opportunities to learn more about what the product can do for you, what a particular module or, I guess an example could be the CMS, right? The CMS is the career site management system, and that's where you actually go in and update the career site with relevant data, relevant videos, relevant messaging. But they're investing in products like that and making it better and better. And there's videos in Phenom's learning management system that you can really become an expert of the CMS and be able to do really, really cool and amazing things, and then be able to preview it and publish it on the same day. I mean, that's pretty cool. I know personally, I mean, if we didn't have Phenom, I'd have to wait a week or two, and then we'd have to test it and make sure before we publish it. But now it's in your hands, right? So it's pretty neat, and the learning management tool is forward thinking. There's always things you can learn, always new features that you can take on with the platform. And then there's also communication that gets distributed through the Phenom team around what's coming your way and more things to learn about the products that they offer. So that's ongoing education and ongoing learning. And I think that's what all of us are looking for, right? We're passionate about what we do. We continuously want to learn. We want to bring in new ideas into our companies. We want to benefit and have our company reap the rewards of the technology that's being provided to us. So there's a lot of tools and systems and data and articles and emails and videos that any of you can look into and embrace.
100%. I think everyone in talent acquisition is familiar with the term honeymoon phase, right? When a candidate comes, they're super excited to start their job. And as HR professionals, you have to keep your employee base engaged. The same thing is with HR tech itself, right? Like when you roll out new technology, after you have all the bells and whistles, you have to continue to enhance it and continue to challenge your team to learn all of the new things, just like we would with our iPhones or our Android devices. I think
it's also really telling, Devin. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I've experienced this with our recruitment team. I know that they love the product and that they use the product because I'll get requests to say, hey, can you create this template? Or, hey, can we add this branding? Or, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? And that's really rewarding when you have the organization coming to you and coming to other experts and champions within the region to ask those questions, because that means that they are really, utilizing the platform for what it's used for. And then hopefully out of that, we create further engagement and interest to look at other things that Phenom can provide to us, right? So the road doesn't stop here. It's still a journey, right? We still have to continue moving forward, and we still have to keep it alive. And again, the same way through communications, through update meetings. It's not over. It's just keeping it going.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like we have one more question. Was there something good or bad that was unexpected in the process of adopting the platform?
Oh, well, yeah, nothing ever meets timeline, right? We have an aggressive timeline. We always have an aggressive timeline. We're an agile organization. We want to move fast. We want to make things happen and get it complete as quickly as possible. But there's always surprises, and sometimes plans never work out, right? And they typically don't. So yeah, I think timeline, it got pushed out, but not by a lot, right? A week or two. do at best. And what helped is that partnership with our CSM and the leaders there at Phenom, and us being honest. Here's our options. Here's what we can do, and that was really helpful, right? In making sure that our go live didn't get pushed back even further. So I would say that. And then what was good is the partnership. It truly was a fantastic partnership. And I would suggest to all of you that engage in any vendor, be open and honest, and share your frustrations. And your partner will be there right by your side to help you and get you through it. You're not alone.
That's what makes a true partnership. It's open and honest communication for sure.
Absolutely. Anisha, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a spectacular episode. You're full of energy, wisdom, and knowledge. So I will hand the floor over to you if you have any parting shots, anything you'd like to say before we hop off.
Oh, just wanted to say thank you for being such a great organization, a great partner. And I also want to make a shout out to the Unisys team. If you guys are on, thank you all for your support and your partnership. You are an amazing team, and I look forward to working with you and further enhancing the product. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
When Anisha comes to the Phenom office, I'm already calling it. She's got the desk next to mine. I sit next to Tom. I don't want to sit next to him anymore. Anisha can have his spot.
I get to have lunch with her, so
That is fair. That is fair. That was an awesome episode. A ton of great topics, a ton of great advice for people looking to implement new technology. And I think the overwhelming theme was how crucial communication is in the partnership, not just in your team, but company-wide. So this has been exciting. Natalie, thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you enjoy your relaxing weekend where you have absolutely nothing planned. And we'll catch you again next week.
all right, sounds good.
Bye. See you.